Flight is one of the most important mechanics in Terraria because it adds verticality to the game, and whether it's King Slime or the Moon Lord, wings are always an elite accessory choice. The earliest way to fly is with the bee mount dropped from Queen Bee, although it isn't much, and another early way is with fledgling wings, found in skyward chests or crates, although the chances of obtainment are super low and they don't provide much flight time. It's a bad deal. Most wings are hard mode exclusive since those bosses require way more mobility than pre-hard mode ones, and especially towards endgame, choosing the right pair of wings can be difficult with so many options. So today I'll go over the only 3 pre-Moon Lord endgame wings you need to choose from and everything you need to know about them, including obtainment, uses, pros and cons, and more, so that you have all the information you need to choose the best pair that suits your playstyle. Let's jump into it. For the first chunk of this video, let's talk about how to obtain each of the wings since that plays an important role in deciding which one to choose, and then later I'll compare all 3 side by side. First up, Fishron wings are dropped from Duke Fishron 7% of the time in normal mode and 10% of the time in expert and master. To spawn him, catch truffle worms in the glowing mushroom biome and fish with them as bait in the ocean biome during any time of the day. Be ready to go because this guy comes out looking pissed off. The fight consists of multiple phases, each increasing in intensity. In the first phase, he performs exactly 5 charges, blows detonating bubbles, and then spawns Sharknadoes which shoot a few sharkrons at you and are destroyable. Once his health drops below 50%, he becomes faster and more aggressive, with a significant boost in damage but a drop in defense. He'll only charge at you 3 times now and will perform the same bubble and tornado attacks, although all 3 attacks will be damage and speed buff. In expert and higher, he goes full sweat mode with a 3rd phase, beginning when his full health falls below 15%, during which he gains the ability to teleport and becomes almost invisible, relying solely on high speed charges. The exact charge pattern is this: first he'll charge at you once before teleporting to the side, then he'll charge twice and teleport to the side again. Finally, he'll charge 3 times and teleport to the side one more time, and then the pattern will reset. To succeed past this phase, you'll need to work on your dodging skills and be able to anticipate his moves and adapt quickly to his increasingly challenging attack patterns. It's tough, I know. In my opinion, tougher than the Empress of Light, but some people are just blind. The good news is that his defense is 0 in the last phase, so Ichor becomes useless, and it's best to focus on doing as much damage as possible to end the fight quickly. The Master Ninja Gear and other movement and dodge accessories are required for this fight as well. Lastly, make sure to also drink the Inferno Potion since it'll destroy all the detonating bubbles before they can reach you, making that attack useless. Secondly, Empress wings can be obtained from the Empress of Light 7% of the time in all modes, making them slightly rarer than Fishron wings. To spawn her, catch Prismatic Lace wings which spawn post-plane Terra in the Hallow between 7:30 PM and midnight every night, then release and kill them anytime to summon the Empress. Keep in mind if you release the Lace wing in any biome besides the Hallow, it will disappear almost immediately. You'll have to kill it quickly. Now I don't know if it's just me, but I can never switch to my weapon fast enough to kill the Lace wing. It always disappears first. Maybe I'm just slow. But the easiest way to guaranteed kill the Lace wing is by releasing it in a lingering projectile like the one created by the Nimbus Rod or Clinger Staff. And unlike Duke Fishron, the Empress is a nighttime boss. Spawning her in the daytime will cause her to be enraged and one-shot you no matter what. She initially follows a predictable pattern which is the following: Prismatic Bolts, dash attack, Sundance, dash attack, Everlasting Rainbow, Prismatic Bolts, dash attack, Ethereal Lance, dash attack, and Everlasting Rainbow. And we'll repeat this exact same cycle until phase 2. In her second phase, triggered at half health, her attacks immediately intensify with faster intervals and new patterns of sword waves which go exactly like this: Ethereal Lance, Prismatic Bolts, dash attack, a special Ethereal Lance attack for expert and master mode only, Everlasting Rainbow, Prismatic Bolts, Sundance, Ethereal Lance, dash attack, and Prismatic Bolts. Now you absolutely do not need to memorize these attack patterns unless you're fighting her during the daytime, in which case you might want to consider it, but even then not really. Instead of memorizing the attack pattern, it's way quicker to memorize how to dodge each type of attack, since there's only a handful of those and they ain't too bad. For Prismatic Bolts, make a sharp turn after they home in on you. With the dash, it's always horizontally from the right to left or vice versa. For the Sundance, just stay far away from her. For the Everlasting Rainbow, move away and through them. And keep in mind they will come back and retract their trail. And lastly, for the Ethereal Lance attack, move in one direction and then move away. Now obviously this is not a boss guide, so I'm not going to go too much in depth, but this should be enough to get you by. Lastly, in expert and higher, her attacks gain more damage, speed, and sometimes size, although her attack pattern stays the exact same except for the additional Ethereal Lance attack I mentioned before. Lastly, Betsy wings can be obtained from Betsy 25% of the time in all modes, which would make you think they're the easiest to obtain, but f**k no. Betsy cannot be spawned directly and will only spawn during the last wave of the post-Golem Ult 1's army. She engages in a set sequence of attacks, starting with 2 charges and then a positioning to the side and spewing a fiery breath downwards, inflicting the on fire debuff. She then charges once more, shoots 6 small fireballs, flies in a loop, and repeats the breath attack. Lastly, she roars and summons Ethereal Wyverns. Unfortunately, her attacks are mostly consistent, meaning meaning that they will follow the attack pattern I just mentioned most of the time, and will sometimes deviate from it. An expert on higher, her damage and max health get buffed, and thankfully that's it. For the old one's army, I recommend Flame Burst Towers as they have solid splash damage, and make sure to grab a few lingering projectile weapons like the Nimbus Rod, Clinger Staff, and Proximity Mine Launcher, since you can deploy all three in front of the mysterious portals for free and consistent damage. Against Betsy specifically, use the Obsidian Skin Potion to gain immunity to the on fire debuff caused by her Fire Breath attack, and make sure to put a few sentries next to the crystals so that they can help you take her down. Since all three bosses are at around the same stage of the game and are of similar difficulty, there's plenty of overlap in the loadout each class should use against them. Here's some quick gear recommendations nonetheless. The Beetle set for melee players with either the Scale Mail for damage or Shell for defense. True Might gear for rangers with one of the three helmets depending on your primary weapon of choice. Spectre armor for mages with both the mask and the hood so that you can switch between lifesteal and damage boost. And spooky armor for summoners optionally with the Valhalla Knight's breastplate if you want more defense. Accessories like the lightning boots, steampunk wings, obsidian shield for knockback immunity, master ninja gear for dodge and dash, celestial shell, soaring insignia, brain of confusion, worm scarf, frozen shield, charm of myths, fire gauntlet, recon scope, mana cloak, celestial emblem, papyrus scarab, your class emblem, and yo-yo bag are all good options. And no, the Ankshield and Terspark boots are not required. Lastly, for weapons, the Terrorblade, chain gun, razor pine, and Xenostaff with the Morning Star are some of my favorites, but you should really only use those weapons to defeat one of the three bosses, because then that boss's loot will be used for the next boss, meaning if you defeat Duke Fishron first, you should then use his weapons to defeat either the Empress or Betsy next. Now that we've covered Obtainment, let's compare and contrast each wing pair to decide which one suits each playstyle best. There are 5 main factors that go into any pair of wings: flight time, how many seconds you can actively fly; flight height, the maximum number of tiles you can ascend; horizontal speed, the maximum horizontal speed you can achieve with the wings alone; vertical multiplier, how much faster you move vertically than horizontally; and bonuses, which are the extra special features some wings possess. Here are those values for the Fishron, Empress, and Betsy wings. Starting with column 1 and 2, you can immediately see that Fishron wings have the highest flight time by 0.5 seconds, while the Empress and Betsy wings are tied, and simultaneously the Fishron wings also have the highest flight height value, with Empress in second and Betsy in third. So now it's obvious that despite Fishron wings having the lowest drop chance, they fly the longest and highest. Moving on to horizontal speed in column 3, the Empress and Fishron wings are tied and Betsy's is below them. So already you might be wondering, why are the Betsy's wings even in this conversation for the best pair of pre-Moonlord wings? We'll get to that in a bit. For the vertical multiplier, we see that this is where the Empress wings come out on top, meaning that you can move faster vertically than Fishron wings. The Empress wings also allow you to control the speed of your vertical movement as laid out in the bonus column. This factor is important when comparing wings, since faster vertical movement greatly helps with dodging devastating attacks like the Moonlord's Phantasmal Death Ray. Now Betsy's wings' vertical multiplier is also lower than the Empress's wings. However, the one quality that makes Betsy's wings stand out is its variety of bonuses. They allow you to hover when flying just like the hoverboard, and not only does this horizontal hover give you a 300% speed increase, but it also doubles flight time. So while you can fly normally with Betsy's wings for 2.5 seconds, you can hover with her wings for a whole 5 seconds. This is why her wings are my favorite. All in all, though, I have to give the best overall pair of wings title to the Fishron wings. They have the best average stats across the board, so if you're not sure which wings to use, then these ones are your best bet, and I think many Terrarians would agree with me. The Empress wings are also a good choice because they sacrifice a little bit of flight time and height for faster vertical acceleration. I recommend heavy glass cannon users to consider these wings, since dodging is most crucial for them. Lastly, Betsy's wings are best for rangers and mages because those are the classes that benefit the most from the fast horizontal hovering ability. While melee and summoner players focus more on circling their target, aka verticality, ranger and mage players use weapons that allow them to keep a greater horizontal distance from their target, which is why Betsy's wings will work best for them. Once again, if you're not sure, then Fishron wings are always a good choice. And that's it, the 3 different pre-Moonlord wings of Terraria, how to get each of them with somewhat detailed guides for their boss, and which pair of wings you should choose based on your class and playstyle. For more in-depth guides like specific endgame loadouts for each class, super high damage reduction and high damage builds, and more, check out the videos uploaded on my channel. I love you all, and until next time, peace.